Okay. All right. Okay.
Hi.
Hey, hey. Wait a minute.
How are you?
Wait a minute. Did I do something? What did I do?
I don't know. You're good.
Okay. Can you hear me?
Yep.
All right. Do I need more light?
I don't think so.
All right. I got all this melanin. So,
That's your magic.
okay. I receive it. Mm.
Awesome, awesome, awesome.
All right. I didn't know how to dress. I didn't know the.
We are a community of just like everybody just show up the way they show up. Like some people show up casual, some people show up in suits. Like we
Just
just,
be you, huh?
yeah, like we run the whole spectrum. That's what I love about it. Like there's no like standard that people have to reach or strive for. It's just however you show up, like
Hmm.
we're happy to have you. Hey, Pastor Nails, how are you?
Hey, how's everybody doing?
Good, how
How
are
you doing?
you?
I'm doing well. Good to see you, Lakeisha. Pastor Walker, nice to meet you via
Likewise.
Hop
Good to meet
In,
you as
my
well.
brother.
Yes, indeed. My first experience in Hop In community.
Yeah,
Yay!
it's nice. Where are you located, Pastor Walker?
I'm in the Queen City of Charlotte, North Carolina.
All right.
So,
Well, awesome. Well, it's 2:45, so we will go ahead and get started. For everyone who does not know, I am Reverend Lakeisha Womack, the founder of Rethinking Church Strategies, and I have the amazing privilege of working with our economic empowerment think tank, of which Pastor Cedric is a member, and being just a part of this amazing community and doing ministry with Dr. Walker, who is also part of the AME Zion Church. We've known each other for some years and just watching like his ministry to evolve and expand and the impact that he's having on the Charlotte community. So I'm blessed to be here. Hey, Levon, so good to see you. And she rocked out that Teampreneur panel I heard earlier today. Can't wait to go back and watch it. So, if you guys want to introduce yourself, we can start with Pastor Walker, who is our guest, and then Pastor Nelms, you can go next.
well, good afternoon, everybody. I'm Dwayne Anthony Walker. I'm the pastor of the Little Rock AME Zion Church in Charlotte, North Carolina. I like to say the Queen City of Charlotte, North Carolina, and just glad to be here um, and then ready to discuss whatever it is that we would discuss today.
Uh, Reverend Cedric J. Nelms. I am pastor of Chosen Generation Fellowship Church here in Los Angeles, California. So I'm what they call on the West Coast. Some would say the best coast. And so just glad to be here. And I'm also the executive director, CEO for Community Bridge Connectors Resource Center. That's based out of Los Angeles as well. So
Awesome. So, what are you guys working on? We'll go backwards this time. So, I'm printing off my questions. I forgot to do that. But Pastor Nels, like, share with us like what you're working on in the context of this whole, as you coined for our July event, mini prize. So, ministry and social enterprise. I love that term. So, share with us like what that means and what you're working on.
yeah, I mean, right now, of course, trying to really strategize and move the church back into in-person service. I'm not sure about my colleague, Pastor Walker, but we just had our first in-person service last Sunday. And so as far as that's concerned, I'm working on the church side and leading the people, guiding the people, regalvanizing the people. But I'm also working on our resource center. And the focus of our resource center, one of the programs that we're really focused on is our Image Makers Academy. And our Image Makers Academy will be going after high school and young adults. But we'll be going after transitional age youth, those youth that are transitioning out of foster care and foster care support. And so that's kind of what I'm working on right now, is really trying to figure out, and I shouldn't say figure out, that's the wrong terminology, really trying to engage at a different level to wherein we can really assist the community. One of the things that we experienced during this pandemic is we had to pivot. And where we once were before the pandemic, location wise, we're not there now. So we're in a totally different city. Before we were in Long Beach, now we've moved to Compton. And so we, really trying to figure that out and see what that's all about, and how we can once again engage the community, and really working on developing this resource center, because the resource center will be our social enterprise in how we engage the community, from the youth to the seniors to the formerly incarcerated to the young adults. So, we really trying to cover some ground, but our first attack is going to be that Image Makers Academy as far as our youth and young adults.
That is awesome. Pastor Walker, what are you working on?
Am I freezing up or you freezing up? I'm sorry.
No, so I don't see your video, but we can hear you.
Okay, wait a minute. Let me see if I can. Can you see my video now?
No, we see your picture.
We see your picture.
Let me put the video back. Is that, you can see me now?
There you go. We got you.
But thank you. Am I still there?
Yep, you're still here.
Yeah.
See me. First of all, I want to say to Pastor Nems, I used to think I had a beard, but I'm going to shave mine off because mine is a joke compared to yours. That's a nice beard.
Don't do that.
So,
don't do that.
Yeah. But I wanted to say that there's some great things happening in Charlotte. I appreciate your remarks about the pandemic. It has caused us to take another look at how we do ministry. And fortunately, we were already on track and did not realize God was preparing us to be in place to handle some things that we're able to do. We're located in Uptown Charlotte, right in the heart of Charlotte, North Carolina. And this is a very historic congregation. They celebrate our 138th church anniversary. But we are old church becoming new, and fortunately still relevant and able to meet some of the needs of the community that we serve. What I'm most excited about right now, in the midst of the things that we're doing, is that when I first arrived to Charlotte back in 2005, I'm looking around, noticing we're Uptown Charlotte, there's development going on everywhere. And I knew that we had to be part of that development, being Uptown Charlotte, and had the idea to begin or start a community development corporation. Was not sure what that was. We got a CDC and then two separate 501c3s. Eventually, we were able to buy back the old Little Rock Church, which is next door to the current Little Rock Church, which was used as the African American Cultural Center. When they moved further uptown, we bought it back and was able to cut the ribbon and burn them works on the same day. And we're using it for the community. We rent it out. We use it for community meetings. We use it for our church events, of course, and other things that we can do to bring people into that space, as well as to generate even more revenue for the church. Then because we had that space, we were able to approach the city of Charlotte with the notion of them giving us the land behind it to address and so we're fortunate and grateful to very, very soon we begin construction of a 105 unit apartment complex that will be 50 of those units will be affordable. And we will have a component that's workforce development housing, which would allow our CDC to do wraparound services to address not only workforce development, but also after school, before school care for our young people, and some programs for our seniors and any other thing we can do to uplift and empower our community. We're also using our parking lot, we'll be able to do that to also generate some additional revenue for the church. And I'm excited about that as well.
So before we go back to Pastor Nams, tell us a little bit about this parking lot thing, because when you shared with me, I was like, your church is generating just through using your parking lot almost as much as some churches are generating in revenue, period, per month. So tell us a little bit more about the renting of the parking lot space.
We've got about 200 spaces. Again, we're uptown Charlotte. There's a lot of things going on here. And for years, people, but we were able to partner with a parking management company, and we're in partnership with them, and they're using our parking lot. They set up the kiosk, and they monitor the parking, and they do everything. We just provide the space and the parking. And for 200 spaces right now, even in the midst of the pandemic, we've been generating about $1,500 to $2,000 a month just in parking revenue. And then when this new construction starts, the construction company will be using our. And so with that, without having to compromise any of our ministries, we're just using our space to be able to generate even more revenue to help our ministry.
Awesome. And what I love about what both of you are doing is being creative around meeting the needs of the community, but also generating revenue. And I think that there's this misconception that we can't make money, or that we shouldn't be in the business of making money, but we need money to do all the ministry and the great works that we do. And it all can't come just on the backs of the people through tithes and offerings. We have to look at how do we monetize some of the services and the assets that we have to generate those funds. Pastor Nams, why do you think it's important? Why do you think it's important for churches and ministries to develop a mindset around economic impact in their communities? Because there are some churches that think that that's really not their job. Like they shouldn't be economic drivers. That's not what we're here for. We're just here to worship God. Why do you think that is the economy part is important?
I would say my first response would be, and you said it, Reverend Lakeisha, is that, yeah, everything we call ourselves nonprofit, but everything we do is for profit. Because, and Pastor Walker will say the same thing, we got to pay musicians, we have to pay administrators and secretaries and landscaping and all that kind of stuff. So we need income to be able to do that. That's the first thing. The second thing is, if we really go through and we decipher the scriptures, you notice that Jesus was always interacting with the people and the marketplace. He was always and maybe he didn't do it literally in text, but when he found the fishermen, he went to where they were. When he found Zacchaeus, he was near where Zacchaeus worked. When he found Matthew, he was near Matthew's tax collecting firm, if you will. So Jesus was always engaging with the marketplace. And so when churches say that's not what we're supposed to do, we are supposed to holistically lead people closer to Christ. And we do that in the midst of everyday life. And if we got CEOs sitting in our pews, if we got teachers sitting in our pews, if we have social workers, if we got college students, if we have caterers, if we have these people sitting in our pews, we can give them the gospel, but we also have to figure out how can we use that church as the centerpiece for major networking. Mm-hmm. And so if I have a man in the pews that owns a tire shop, and I have a young lady that owns a car dealership, why not allow for them to meet during the worship service, but also generate some form of a mechanism to bring both of them together so that both of those people can add value to their legacy and their business legacy. And so that's how I would respond to that question, because we may not have to be the curators, but we do have to be and here's this word, we do have to be the stewards of understanding that business goes on even in the midst of worship. And so I think the church needs to do that. We need to get back to being the center. I mean, I remember church with my great grandparents to where when you needed anything, you went to the church.
Right.
If Junior was acting up, you took him to the church. If that cousin got out of prison and he came to your spot, you took him to the church. If your marriage was in trouble, you went to the church. If it was something political going on, you went to the church. So why not have the church as a centerpiece for economic empowerment when we do have economics that fund the ministry?
Wow. And what are your thoughts, Dr. Walker, as you piggyback on that? And there's also a question on, will you be charging more for the construction firm to use the parking lot?
Well, the first, to answer that question, they probably will end up with a discount. We're talking about 60 cars, and they're probably paying us about $1,500 a month. So that's going to be a discount for them. But we know it's a definite that they will come, and there's some other things that we're benefiting from with them. So there's a mutual benefit in that regard. And I think that's important, that whoever we are collaborating with, there's a mutual benefit to all the entities involved. And I strongly concur with Pastor Nims in terms of the church and our role. We are certainly to be holistic in our scope, that we minister to the body, the soul, the mind, the spirit, all that makes up a person. That as we seek to serve them and save them, then we also minister to every aspect of them. And so, I certainly believe that that's our role. That we're right in the middle. That the church should be the center of the lives of the people, and as we share the gospel with them. Yeah.
Awesome. So it's interesting because even as we're looking at projects of the scope that you guys are working on, what would you say are some of the keys to building a successful team? Because you can't do it by yourself. So how do you get other people on board to help you move a vision of this magnitude forward? And we can start with you, Dr. Walker.
Very fortunate to have persons within the church, because you're right. I recognize right away that what my limitations are. But as a pastor, I'm blessed to surround myself with some people who know what I don't know, who can do what I can't do, and who can see what I can't see. I have the initial vision, but then I bring other people together to help formulate. We're blessed to have persons on our boards who have those kinds of expertise, whether it's financial expertise, whether it is developers, whether it's attorneys, whether it is entrepreneurs. And fortunately, those who make up the board of directors for our CDC have those kinds of skills. And we seek those persons with skills, with those type of skills to ensure that what we are needing to move this forward, we have in them. And so, so far, so good. And also, not only persons in our church, but we've sought out persons in the community to ensure that we've got diversity. We want to be sure that we collaborate with our Hispanic brothers and sisters, as well as those in other communities, because, to bring their perspective and their expertise also to help us move this project along. And they've been so.
Awesome. Pastor Nims, what is your advice for building a team and collaboration around these big visions that you all have?
I mean, like Pastor Walker said, I think you look where it's closest, and then you look where it's closest, and then you venture out. As far as our resource center, I was just very intentional with seeing who I had in my digital Rolodex. They don't have old school Rolodexes like when my parents was in the workforce, but it's called your cell phone. So I just went and, really started looking at who I had that spoke to what was going to be our ultimate goal. And because we were going to be focused heavily with youth and young adult, I tried to gather people on our board that had either worked in that space or working in that space, but also were very out of the box thinkers, because this is something that we're trying to create from the ground up. And so, I was very intentional with having a, which is funny when I say it, predominantly Black board, because we just added a white gentleman, a Caucasian, to our board because he has expertise in finance. And so, Pastor Walker and Reverend Keisha, anytime you do anything, you got to be sure that you got a financial person because that's outside of my warehouse. Once you get past budget, mortgage, utilities, stuff like that, then my brain goes totally numb as far as finance is concerned. So that's why we added him to the team. But the other thing is I was very intentional with wanting to have women on the board. I didn't want our board to look like a typical board, what I call westernized patriarchal board. I wanted to have women on the board because women, of course, are not only creative and intellectually and ambitious, but they bring a different flavor, a different spice to the board. And so that's just some of the things that I did as far as building our board and looking at leadership. And these are people who lead in their respective entities, whether it's education, whether it's small business, whether it is community organizing, they lead in those particular fields. So
that's awesome. And that actually answered my next question, which is what types of people do you need on your team? So I'll let Dr. Walker answer that because you've already given us a lot to think about. And just for the record, like, you also should have a coach or a consultant. I actually have a coach, consultant, and a strategist that I work with. And I am all of those things, but it always helps to have other people who challenge you to think even bigger. And I know sometimes our visions are already big and somebody's going to come along and be like, but have you thought about this? Or can you add that? And you need those people to push you and not just the yes men to be like, oh, you're so wonderful. Oh, you're so great. Oh, and you're just like, yeah, I know. But like, what else? Like, what else can I be? So Dr. Walker, what are your thoughts about the kinds of people that you need to be working with?
The same. Just diversity is very important, and your comment about women on the board, I strongly concur. In fact, the majority of our board are women, just as the majority of the members of the church are women. And so I'm grateful for my sisters, and who bring just a wealth of knowledge and energy and accountability and stability to what we're doing. And they have the kind of connections that they have, the kind of background, the skill set that they have, has been a blessing to this whole process. Also on our board, I have a gentleman I used to work with. I was in the planning committee, commission in Charlotte, and a gentleman who was once the chairman of the planning commission is now on our board. And in fact, he's an attorney and has offered his firm to do work for us pro bono. So during this whole period of time that we've been working with the city of Charlotte in this collaboration, because I'm excited about the collaboration. The city of Charlotte is a developer, is Little Rock. All are working to build this facility, and so there's been a lot of negotiations, a lot of paperwork going on. So to have him on our board, as well as those entrepreneurs and finance people, and I have one gentleman who's actually a developer and a lawyer who's on our board, and they have been so very helpful. And it's important to understand. Understand if you want a good Bible study and know how to organize a church, I'm your guy. I don't know. that I need people around me who can do it. Because I know we need to have this. We need to have this. We can't be in the middle of uptown Charlotte with all this going on and we just sitting down looking. We've got to be a part of it, and in order to keep things going. And I'm just grateful that this particular project was set this church up to be financially stable for years to come. We're looking that we owe like $1.2 million on, so we're in good shape.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I tell people when I'm working with people who are establishing boards, I'm like, look at finance people and attorneys and people who do what you do, because if they're on your board, usually they bought into your vision. And so they're going to typically offer those services at a discount or pro bono. And it's like having someone who also has a vested interest in what you're doing versus you going hiring an attorney because they're going to charge you per hour because they don't care about what you're doing. And so it helps to bring those people into the vision as well as just having their services. We do have a question from the audience. Do you all think you should find someone else to ensure a check and balance of the money? So I guess that would look like having external audits performed on your organizations. And we'll go with you, Pastor Nails, because you are shaking your head emphatically yes.
Yeah. I think of course. I think you need that. I mean, we do that with even our personal finance. I can sit and do me and my wife's taxes every year, but then I need I need somebody else who that's what they do. And like I'm standing arm in arm with Pastor Walker when it comes to the 66 books and devising a sermon series and exegeting the text. Look no further than me. when it comes to when the numbers get a little bit too many zeros behind it, I need some help from some folks. And I would say have multiple people. Have someone who maybe is like I have a tax guy, but he is a tax person. But then if I can, pub my oldest daughter, whose birthday is today, she's a CPA. And so, having a tax person and a CPA, those are two different things. One is dealing with taxes. Another is a certified public accountant, which typically deals larger sums of money and larger organizations. So if you can afford that or have that in your family, like you said, get some folks that can do it pro bono. Yes, have multiple people.
Awesome. What are your thoughts, Dr. Walker?
Well, the same. Regarding who to bring in, make sure that we have as many persons who are well versed in and the kinds of and I recognize my limitations and certainly seek out others who can do what I can. I think did I miss a question?
That was it. But you do have a question specifically about the timeline for the completion of your apartment project.
Well, we had hoped to have begun construction by now, but because of the pandemic, there was an issue with lumber. And lumber prices went sky high, and because lumber prices went sky high, it kind of changed the numbers for the financing. But the numbers starting to come back down, and so we're looking to begin the project within the next month. They will start construction, and it's going to take they're saying about a year and a half for it to be complete. So once it is complete, Little Rock CDC will own 67.
Wow.
33% of the project. But the wonderful thing about this is that we have not had to put any money towards it. We were able to get the donation from the city of Charlotte for the land, and then through tax credits and through the Charlotte called the Choice Fund, which is Charlotte Housing Fund, there was so much money, and then a conventional loan that's being handled by the developer. That's how we're doing it. And once all the bills are paid, whatever the profits are, 67% would be going to the Little Rock CDC, and the other would go to the developer. And so we're excited about that too.
Wow.
Amen.
And for all of you questioning, like why you should go to city council meetings and why you should be involved with the planning commission, like this is one of the examples, because you don't know. And gentrification did not happen in our communities overnight. Gentrification is something that has been planned around our communities, but when we're not at the table, when we're not in the meetings, then we don't know about these developments, and we're not able to take advantage and say, even if you're going to move these people in, how can we at least get a portion of the revenues that you're going to generate? And, you know, even with Dr. Walker's example, how do we ensure that some of those units are affordable housing so that we're not moving all of our people out? Because what happens when we're not at the table, then they do develop these expensive units and none of our people can afford to live in the community. So, if you guys could speak a little bit more about partnerships and how you've been able to leverage them. And we can start with Pastor Nelms on this one.
Oh, no, I mean, partnership and collaboration, especially for a startup resource like myself, we pretty soon I will be, we'll be like my brother, Pastor Walker, where we talking about bigger projects. But right now we just trying to learn how to walk. So we're at that toddler stage. But yeah, you know, for all of the tragedy that happened during the pandemic, I think one of the blessings was that's when we were able to really solidify ourselves as a resource center, because we just started and launched in June of 2020. Well, that was in the midst of the pandemic. We were able to partner with two different organizations in particular. Number one, we were able to partner with an organization called Care Portal. Care Portal is a system to wherein they are able to put the needs of foster families and families in needs on an app and run it through to where social workers can put in that information, and that information gets sent to churches and nonprofit organizations. Okay. Through that, we were able to service over 100 children. We were able to help in ways such as getting mothers diapers. We even helped a lady get her car out of repossession. We were able to give furniture, things of that sort. So that's Care Portal. But then we were also able to partner with a church here, not too far from what we consider the South Bay of Los Angeles. So it's next door to Long Beach. We were able to partner with that church, but then we were able to partner with an organization called Children's Hunger Fund, to where we were getting non-perishable food through I would say we ran for about a good 6 months. We were able to service over 3,000 plus families and over 6,000 plus individuals. Wow. Giving them boxes of food every other Saturday. And so partnership and collaboration, if it were not for that, we would not have been able to do what we were able to do last year and coming into this year. So I am the collaboration partnership guru. I believe in it, because you can't do this thing by yourself. No man or woman is an island. And first of all, God didn't create us that way. He created us in relationship. That's why you got Adam and Eve. Relationship. It's about relationship and building with each other. So that's what we were able to do.
Awesome. Well, it's hard to believe that our time is almost up, but I would like for you all to share, because there are a lot of people who have big visions and big ideas. And I don't want people to think that it's easy, that you just like launch out here and everybody's going to say yes and be on board with your vision. So what advice would you give to someone who has that big vision and they're just getting started? They're taking the first step, but they know where they're trying to go. And we'll start with you, Dr. Walker.
Thank you again for the opportunity to share. The advice I would give is that let the Lord lead you. I know that may sound like a cliche, but it's absolutely the truth. I believe that if God assigns you somewhere, then God will give you the direction for what God has assigned you for. And so once the Lord leads you, listen and then follow. And then that, the steps are, there's receive the vision. After you receive the vision, then you present the vision. There's a reception of the vision, presentation of the vision, formulation of the vision, implementation of the vision, and then evaluation of the vision. So I think those are the steps, but definitely let God lead you, and then bring others to share with them so they can see into fruition.
Pastor Nams, what advice do you have?
Same thing. Put it on paper. If we had enough time, I'll show you how many times I wrote about community bridge connectors. And we got a whole file cabinet of just putting it on paper. But the other thing that I did was I also shared it. So I shared, tried to share things, not the whole idea, but just some stuff to get feedback from people. And don't be scared to regurgitate. What I mean by regurgitate is don't be too scared to make changes. The name that we currently have is not the name that I thought of. That was the name that the board wanted to change it to. So don't have such a stronghold on this vision and idea that God has given you that you cannot allow someone else to take the reins to and lead it in a different direction. Because like Pastor Walker and myself, and even you, Reverend Lakeisha, we know we'll get ours, but once you allow for people to kind of let them lead a little bit, that's when you have exponential growth. So don't be too hard on yourself and not allow yourself to regurgitate. So
I think that is so important, because as a visionary, sometimes we get so focused on what we can see that we don't bring other people in to expand the vision. And it ends up isolating and alienating us in a lot of instances. So we have one more question. Is it possible to connect with each one of you as we are moving toward our missions? And I would say yes. Like, I know Dr. Walker loves sharing his mythology for doing this work, and I know Pastor Nams loves sharing, and I definitely love sharing. So feel free to I'm sure you can find us on Facebook and send an inbox, or you can communicate through the system. But that's what we're here for. It's not just about making a presentation, but helping you all to see what's possible, and that there are people who are doing it, because a lot of times we only see the other people doing it and we think it's not possible for us. So that's why we want to showcase, hey, here's some people who are doing it and they want to share with you how to do it. They're not stingy with this information, because when we help other people grow, I believe that's when God blesses us. He didn't give us these visions just for us, but to be an example. So anything you guys want to add to that before we head off to the main stage for our closing?
Just that I'm incredibly proud of what you're doing, and proud of you, and proud to be a part of this assembly. Sisters who are watching and listening that share. God has given us opportunity, but we're all in this thing together. We cannot be silos, keeping information to ourselves. But how can what I do help to empower or assist you in doing what you're doing? Because in doing that, we all benefit, and that's what it's all about.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah. Thank you, Reverend Lakeisha. You up there. You right there with God, my mother, and my wife. You somewhere. You in that zone. So I'm just excited. Anything you got going on, I don't mind being a part of it at all. And it was great meeting you too, Pastor.
I'm going to go work on my beard, Pastor. Compared to yours, so I'm embarrassed.
Hey, I'll fly out to Charlotte for that. No problem.
To get some beard lessons and beard grooming tips.
Yeah, I'll fly out there for that. Trust me.
Well, hopefully you'll be coming to Charlotte next June for our retreat, and so you'll get to meet Pastor Walker. Our
Amen.
Rethinking Church is going hybrid next year, and everybody said that they wanted to come to Charlotte, so we'll be bringing a small team to Charlotte for our retreat. So really looking forward to that. Registration opens in a month, so you guys get your pennies ready. Very good to see you also, Reverend Dr. Patricia, and thank you, Levon, and everybody else who was in this session. We're going to take a little break, give you guys a chance to use the bathroom, get some water, and then head over to our main stage because we're going to share from the Economic Empowerment Think Tank what they are working on next, and then you all are going to hear about an exciting project that Rethinking Church is working on next. And God is doing a wonderful thing. So thank you guys, and I will see everybody else in just a few minutes.
Thank you so much.
All right.
Thank you.
Bye.